I recently put out a YouTube short showing my Tesla Model Y in defrost mode against 8 inches of snow. You won't believe the comments that video attracted. Total misconceptions about Teslas in the wintertime. So I'm doing a video on it today to dispel those myths and misconceptions that everyone has about Teslas in the wintertime. Here we go. Right now, we're starting. One of the comments that I saw over and over again was about how Tesla vehicles just do not charge in the wintertime. This is a huge misunderstanding by those people. I don't know where they're getting their information from, but that's wildly inaccurate. My Tesla Model Y charges just fine on our level 2 home charger every night, no issues at all. I guess they're probably referencing some of the articles that were put out about the people who struggled in Chicago and the Midwest with those temperatures that were below zero. They were having trouble supercharging their Teslas or driving around trying to find an open supercharger because the charging was taking so long. A lot of that has to deal with preconditioning the battery, and I've mentioned this in some of my other videos. You have to precondition the battery so that it can accept a faster charge. A cold battery is not going to take on massive amounts of charge from a supercharger. It will damage the battery, and it's an unsafe charging condition, which Tesla has tried to eliminate through charging limit control. One of the articles I read mentioned a lady who was driving around on 7% battery trying to find a supercharging station. When she finally did find one that was open, it was going to be a 3-hour charge time to her set limit. Well, this is because she was on 7% state of charge. She's pretty frustrated, according to the article, that it was going to take 3 hours to charge her vehicle up to her set charge limit, but this is done through Tesla's software to limit damage to the battery. If you're on a single-digit state of charge and you try to throw in a ton of charging from a supercharger into that battery, it's going to destroy that battery, okay? It's going to damage it beyond belief. Tesla does not want to do that. They're limiting the amount of charge you can get from the supercharger stall to protect the integrity of your battery. Another big misconception is that there's significant range loss with a Tesla in colder weather. This is just not accurate, at least not for our case. We've charged our Tesla at 80%, gone out, driven around in single-digit weather with wind chill dipping below 0 degrees many times, and the most range that we've lost that's been measured has been about 12 miles. That's it, okay? That is not, at least in my opinion, a significant amount of range loss. If you took a gas-powered or diesel-powered vehicle and you compared the range loss from 3/4 of a tank, which is essentially what 80% charge is, you would see pretty comparable numbers to a loss in efficiency, fuel efficiency, just like the Tesla loss in range. That's why preconditioning your Tesla is so important. It uses the heat pump to warm the battery. It gets you optimum performance out of that battery and the maximum range that you're going to get in colder temperatures. It's just like warming up an engine. A lot of the comments were all about how gas-powered and diesel-powered vehicles didn't struggle with this preconditioning issue, but that's not true, okay? Gas-powered vehicles run a winter blend fuel mix. Gas-powered vehicles need to have a richer air-fuel ratio in order to run in colder temperatures, okay? That is going to affect efficiency. Plus, the colder air increases the drag coefficient, making vehicles, all vehicles, less aerodynamic in colder weather. Diesel vehicles have to use block heaters to warm the block. They've got to keep that thing plugged in overnight when the temperature dips down in the single digits and below zero. Not only do they have the block heater, they've got glow plugs and grid heaters, which either warm the air going into the cylinder or warm the air inside the cylinder so they can even start the vehicle and get it running. So if you're driving an internal combustion engine or an EV, whether you're preconditioning the vehicle or you're starting the vehicle to warm it up, it's essentially the same thing. Another crazy belief is that running defrost mode kills your battery. This is so far from the truth, okay? Defrost mode was created by Tesla to defrost the car. In the short that I did, I showed defrost mode against 8 inches of snow and what would happen if I just tried to melt all that snow off the car. Obviously, it was a lot for that vehicle to do. It was a lot to ask in below zero temperatures for that Tesla to melt off all of that snow. And it actually got 3/4 of the snow off. The only area that it didn't melt was right on top of the hood, which eventually I just pushed it off with a broom and was ready to roll on to my destination. But the belief that defrost mode kills your battery and therefore you're left with no range, even after you run it for 45 minutes, is wholly untrue. I started at 79%. Running that defrost mode. Mind you, this is 8 inches of thick packed snow on top of the vehicle. After 45 minutes, I had lost 4% of charge. That's roughly 12 miles. 12 miles of range to fully defrost the vehicle against 8 inches of snow. Now I did that just as a test to see what would happen. Normally if I'm going out to work, I'm going to take a broom, brush off all the snow off the vehicle. I'll be left with maybe a ½ inch of frost or ice on the vehicle, and I'll use defrost mode to burn that off, which it burns off very quickly. But you wouldn't believe the amount of people that thought after running defrost mode, my vehicle had no charge. That wasn't true at all. I unplugged and drove it around the entire day with 0 issue. Another benefit to defrost mode is that it preconditions the battery. This is one of the ways that you can actually precondition the battery, is turn on defrost mode. It will warm the cabin. It will also use the heat pump to warm the battery so that it's at optimum performance. When you leave, you're going to get maximum range and performance out of the battery, even during super cold temperatures outside. I remember earlier how I talked about the lady in Chicago with a 7% state of charge in her Tesla. She finally finds a supercharger stall, hooks up. It's going to be like 3 hours to a full charge. That takes me to the next misunderstanding, which is that if you have a single-digit state of charge in your Tesla and you hook up to a supercharger, it just won't charge. This is not true, okay? What's happening is it's basically a trickle charge. You can't take a ton of energy and try to jam it into a single-digit state of charge battery and think that that's going to work out well. It won't. It's kind of like when you were a kid and you went outside and you had a snowball fight and you came in hours later and your fingers are just frozen, so you think, oh, I got to put them under the hot water and warm them up. Well, when you do that, you get that instant burning sensation because you're warming them up too quickly. Instead, you'd be better off taking a towel and just kind of warming your hands up slowly. Well, that's what's happening to your battery when you're on a single-digit state of charge and you hook up to a supercharger. Supercharger's that hot water. If you just jam it in there, it's going to burn that battery all up. You can't do that. You have to slowly charge the battery, and while it's warming up, it can accept a faster rate of charge. Don't stress about these issues. If you want to get maximum range out of your Tesla this winter, then just check this video out right here. Go ahead, click it.